There it is. Okay. We're also going to be using date and time functions. We're going to be doing rounding functions. And again, I talked a little bit about this last week. Rounding is different than when we round a number, it's different than eliminating decimals, because we can use these keys up here to add and increase and decrease our decimal, the number of decimals displayed on our sheet. When we round, it's a little bit different. We're also going to be copying an entire worksheet. So we're going to be copying that worksheet and then making duplicates of it to use for those different tributaries of that company. We're going to be using the paste gallery, and this is going to be one of those functions that if you are running the Mac version of it, you may not have access to the paste gallery because that's going to be up in your clipboard. And with the Mac version, you do not have access to the clipboard. The clipboard function and the quick analysis tool are two tools that are not available to Mac users. We're also going to be doing, once we've got that Lady Lobster or Lucy Lobster, whatever it was, Sharon Shrimp and Harry Haddock, once we've got those created, we're also going to create copies that we take away. And so we've got that consolidated worksheet all together, but then at the end of it, we're going to be creating 4 different files. We'll have the consolidated file, and then we'll also have a single file for each of the haddock, shrimp, and lobster companies. And then we're going to be linking. We're going to do a lot of linking within this stuff too. Excuse me. All right. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and we're going to create this kind of template. And now, the reason that we're going to create this template is because when we link these worksheets together, you have to have the same cells referenced in each corresponding cell. So if I need to have the same information that's in B2 on every one of these different linked worksheets that we're working on. So the easiest way to do that is to create a template and then make multiple copies of that template. And then everything is going to be in the exact same cell. And then it's going to be laid out exactly the same way. It's going to be referenced the same way. And so as we start building this, it's going to make a little more sense, I think. But so right now it might be kind of abstract terms. So, all right, so the first thing we're going to do, we've got this blank worksheet open. We're going to go ahead and if you want to zoom yours in a little bit, go ahead. I'm going to zoom mine in a little bit just so you can see everything I'm doing here. Otherwise, since my screen is so big, it can get a little bit small. All right. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to change the theme to the workbook that we're creating. So I'm going to come up to my page layout, and then in my themes group, I'm going to choose my themes options. And then I'm going to use the feathered theme. And again, there's going to be some commonly used ones at the beginning, like facet, gallery, integral. These are kind of like the legacy ones. After that, they're going to be alphabetical. And so for me, it's the fourth column, 5th row is feathered. And that's the one I'm going to use. If you do not have access to the feathered one, go ahead and use something else. That's, again, every time I say, let's use the blue accent 5, darker 40% or whatever. If you don't want to use that specific color, don't use it. Use something else. If you'd rather use a different theme, use a different theme. Again, this is, we're gonna be working with skills, but I don't expect you to do everything the exact same way that I'm doing it. If you want to use a little variance, that's cool. If you want to, if we're cutting something and copying it with our keyboard and you want to do it with your mouse, or you want to do it with, some shortcuts, do it that way too. I'm just going to be covering many different ways to do stuff. You'll find, you'll kind of find your groove, your little sweet spot. And then you can do it whatever way is the most convenient or the easiest for you. All right, so we've got this new theme applied. Now we're going to go ahead and we are going to expand one of our columns. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to go to the row 4 heading. And so row 4 right down here, and we're going to change that to 51.75 high. And again, so the couple ways you can do that, we could get this little 2-way pointing arrow right here, click and hold, drag it down to 51.75, or we can go to our home tab, our cells group, in that format option, do row height, and then just type 51.75. But I want to make sure I'm on 4. And again, when I'm doing it personally for my own projects, I never do this drag model. I always come here to format, row height, and then 51.75. And again, I've explained it, I drink so much coffee that my hands are really shaky, that doing it this way will take me forever. All right, now we're going to increase the width of column A. Again, so column A, you can select it, or you can just come to this border. We're just going to click and hold, drag it to 20.57. There. And then we're going to click on column B, hold the shift key down, and then click on column G. And again, when we use our shift key, we're selecting the entire range. If we use the control instead of shift, we are using a non-adjacent. So again, if I click in cell B, hold my shift key, then click in cell G, I select everything from B through G. If I click on cell B, hold my control key, click on cell G or column G, I'm only selecting those two. But we want to make sure we've got B through G. Oops, there's Dawn, just a second. Welcome, Dawn. So far, all we've done is we're doing some, we've expanded some columns and cells so far. And so if you've got a Excel workbook open, we took row 4 and we expanded it. So the row height is 51.75. And then column A is 20.5 or 21.57, I think it was. The column width is, or 20.57, excuse me.
Perfect. I think I can catch up that much. Thank you.
Okay, yep.
Hey, Shane.
Yes, ma'am.
When on my row height for 4, it says 51.8. And I know I clicked in 51.75. So does that mean
that's fine? I for some reason it must be just showing it rounded up or something. I don't know. But 51.8 and 51.75, it's virtually going to be you won't be able to distinguish using your eye, and it's not going to hurt anything. So we're fine.
Okay, thank you.
You bet. All right, so we got that. So again, column or row A was 51.75. Column A was 20.57, and then we've selected B, held the shift through column G, and then that range, we are going to increase it to 13.57. And again, you can pull it out or you can just type it in. So 13.57. There we go.
Shane, okay, so I'm on B.
Yep, click on B, the column,
Yep.
and then hold your shift key. And then click on that G heading.
Okay.
And then just click on format, column width, and 13.57.
Column 13.57.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you.
Yep. All right. So we've got this worksheet. Now we've got this kind of the skeleton built for it. Now we're going to click in cell A1, and now we're going to enter these titles and subtitles and rows and column headings and stuff. So in cell A1, we're going to go ahead and type M and S, and we're going to use the ampersand. M and S provisions. And then in cell A2, consolidated expenses worksheet. Whoopsie. All right, and then you can navigate to A4. And then here we're going to type expense category. And then click in cell A5. And then we are going to go ahead and we're going to type, and you can use your down arrows when you're doing this or however you want to do it, but we're going to go going down, we're going to be typing these different expense categories. So from A5 on down, it's going to be payroll. And then again, I'm just using my down key to navigate. Benefits, fuel, storage, event fees, maintenance, advertising, and administrative. All right, and again, so we've from A5 through A12, we have payroll, benefits, fuel, storage, event fees, maintenance, advertising, and administrative. All right, now we're going to go ahead and we're going to enter our column titles. So we're going to come up to cell B4, and then we're going to type 2020. And then in cell C4, we are going to type 2021 projected percent, and then we're going to use the percent key, not the, or the percent sign, not the word, 2021 projected percent change. Projected. All right. And then we're going to, the next space over, sorry, in E4 is going to be 2022 projected percent change. All right, and then let's go back, back one to D4, and we're gonna do 2021. Sorry, I skipped that one. I skipped over that one. So again, so it should, in B4, it should be 2020, then 2021 projected percent change, and then in D4, 2021, in E4, 2022 projected percent change, and then in F4, 2022, and then finally in G4, average percent changed, past tense. All right. So I'm going to select click and hold with my left mouse button in B4, and then drag it across through G4. So I've got that whole range selected. And then up in my alignment, in my alignment group, I'm going to click on where it says wrap text. So I can wrap that text. All right. So now I will say that all day yesterday and this morning, my Wi-Fi was really weird. I don't know what was going on, but I reset everything and now it looks like it's kind of teetering a little bit again. So if it kind of scrambles out, let me know.
Jane?
Yep.
It's me again, sorry.
Yep.
When I go over from B to G, it goes to 2020. So what am I doing wrong?
Okay, so what you're doing is you're instead of clicking here and holding and dragging across, I think you are like doing something like this.
Yes, I am. Okay.
Yeah. So don't use the fill handle for this. Just
Okay.
click and hold, drag across.
Got it.
Yep.
And then wrap text.
Yep.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm. All right. So everyone else got that so far? All right. Good. And again, if I don't get a response, I'll just assume everyone's good. If I do get a response, then I'll kind of stop. Okay, so we're going to go to cell B5. We're going to start entering some of this data. So in cell B5, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to type the number 1. And then I'm going to hit enter. So I've got this. And again, so what we're going to be doing here is we don't know the numbers yet, but what we want to do is we want to make all of this formatting changes to this worksheet. So once we enter the data, it's going to already be ready for us to do this. So what we're going to be doing is we're going to be just entering some kind of dummy data to start with. And then once we've got that dummy data in, then we can populate the other stuff later. But we're going to use this dummy data to help us format these sheets. So we've got 1. I'm just going to click up here and then grab my little fill handle. So in that little lower right-hand corner of that cell B5, kind of that little green block, get the little crosshair over it, click and hold with your left mouse button, pull down through administrative, and then I'm going to release. And then I'm going to come up here to this fill option and then do series. And then I'm going to do growth. And so it's going to say we're going to fill this in a growth way by steps of 1. Oh, did I get that? Ah, come on.
Where is your fill?
Ah, the fill is right. I mean, the fill is right up here. It's in our home tab in the editing group.
Got it. Thank you. Mine doesn't say fill. Thank
Okay,
you.
sorry. So why didn't mine do that? Series, column. There we go. Oh, I think I did growth before and it's linear. So make sure you did the linear. So again,
Okay, so yep. So could you start over on that growth linear?
Yep, sorry. Okay, so I filled that down, and then with that range still selected on my home tab, editing group, it looks like a little cell with an arrow pointing down in it. That's your fill option. I'm going to click on that fill option, and then series. And then we want the series to be in our column, and we want it to be a linear series, and the step value is by 1s. And so what that's going to do, it's going to look at the first cell, and it's going to increase each one by the value of 1. So I'm going to say OK. And then there you can see it just populates the numbers 1 through 8. All right, now I'm going to select cell C5. And then in C5, I'm going to type 3%. All right, and so again, this is our percent change. So with that cell C5 selected, I'm going to go to my home tab, make sure I'm on my home tab, and then I'm going to select the range C5 through C12. So I'm not going to use the fill handle this time. I'm just going to click in cell C5, select the range C12. And then again, I'm going to come over to my fill options. So in my home tab, editing group, fill. All right, so we've got that. And then we're going to go to the series option again. And then this time, we're going to check the point, we're going to type 0.31 in the step value. So the step value right now it's 1. We're going to type 0.31. And then it's going to be, linear is fine. And then we're going to say, okay. And it should be, let me do that one more time, because mine, it should have been by 0.31 and I did mine. So if yours says 3.46 point, that's fine. I'm gonna do mine over once because it should have been by 0.31. There we go. Let's try it now. Oh, I'm sorry, by 0.031. My bad. I'm looking at it incorrectly. So sorry, 0.031 and then okay. That's what we want. So we should have from 3 through 25. And so now while we're here, we're going to increase this decimal. So I'm going to come to my alignment group in my home tab. And right over here, we've got our increase and decrease decimal. We want to display 2 decimals in this number. So I'm going to go ahead and say increase decimal once. Oopsie, not there. Come on. Increase decimal. There we go. Sorry, increase decimal, not increase indent. Increase decimal 2 times. It's one of those days again. And again, sorry, and again, you don't want to make sure you don't do your increase your indent. You want to increase your decimal. I really do know what I'm doing. Okay, so now we've got this over
Okay,
here.
hang on.
Yep.
I'm. Why isn't it increase? All right, sorry,
Yeah,
guys.
make sure you're doing the increase the decimal and not your indent. So it's your decimal is going to be in your home tab number group, and it's going to be right over
Got it.
here. Yep.
Yep. Thank you.
Yes. Sorry. All right. Now
Okay.
we're going to do the same thing over in column E. So in E5, we're going to click on that, and we're going to type 4%. And then we're going to select that range E5 through, oopsie, sorry, just the range E5 through E12, not fill it. And then we're going to come over, do that fill series, and again, 0.031, not 0.31. So 0.031 linear, okay. And then increase our decimal 2 times. All right, so far so good. Cool, cool. All right, so now we're going to enter some functions. So we're going to use a date function, a time function, and a round function. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to use our date function first. So we're going to come up to cell G3 right over here. And then we're going to type equals. And again, whenever we're using a function or a formula, we're going to indicate that by an equal sign. So it's going to kind of prompt the software to know that we're going to create a calculation. But in this case, we're not necessarily doing a calculation, but we're going to calculate the date. So we're going to type equals today. So equals today. And then open parentheses, close parentheses. And then you can either hit enter or click the little green check mark up here in your formula bar. And then that's going to populate today's date right up there. All right, so we've got the date in here. Now we're going to go ahead and format that date. Whoopsie. All right, so we're going to right click in cell G3 and then format cells. And then since it recognizes that it's already a date, our date should automatically be selected. And then we're going to go ahead and choose the format that we want. So, and again, if you prefer a specific format, great. I'm going to choose this 14-MAR-12. Then okay. And then we can just select any empty cell to set that reference. All right. So now we've got that information entered. So now we're also going to use a rounding function. And so when we do the rounding function, it's going to automatically round a value to us or for us. So it's going to be a little bit different than saying we don't want any decimals. Again, this is going to be rounding a number. So we're going to come over to cell D5. So that's between this, after the payroll percent change over here. And we're going to type equals, again, because the rounding is a function. So equals, and then we're going to type round. And again, you'll see that when we type that, it recognizes that it's a function. We could double click that, but we don't have to do that right now. If we knew what we were going to, if we knew a specific reference to this, we could double click on it. It would open up a dialog box for us, but we're just going to type the value for this. So in this case, we're going to type, so equals round and then open parentheses, because anytime you create a function, you need to create that open parentheses to tell to kind of tell the operation what you're going to be doing. And so here we're going to type in B5 plus B5 times, so the asterisk, C5. All right, and so now then you can see right now, this is the number that we've got. So the number that we're going to be rounding is going to be B5 plus B5 times C5. And then now we're going to enter a comma. So comma, and now this, after we enter that comma, we're telling the software how many decimals we want. So if we wanted to round to 0 decimals, we would type a 0. If we wanted it to round to 1 decimal, we would type a 1. If we wanted to round to 5 decimals, we would type a 5. In this case, since we've got this other numbers percentages formatted as 2 decimals, we're going to type 2. And then close the parentheses. And then again, you can either hit enter or click that little green check mark up there, and it'll do the same thing. And again, so what this is going to do, it will automatically give us, even if the number is going to be 1.0279511111, I mean, even if it's going to be a huge long number, we're automatically telling the software, hey, whatever you do, only round to 2 decimals. All right, so we've got that formula there. Now we're going to drag that fill handle from D5. So again, we've set it. We're going to click on this little fill handle in the corner, and we're going to click and hold, and then just pull it down through D12. Now we're going to do the same thing. We're going to come over to cell F5. And again, so far all we're doing is we're creating this template for this worksheet. So we haven't even entered any data yet. So we're in cell F5. And then here we're going to type, again, we're going to use this round function. So equals round, open parentheses. Again, we're telling it what formula we want. This time it's going to be D5 plus D5 times E5 comma 2. So again, it's going to be very similar to what we just did. D5 plus D5 times E5 comma 2, and then close the parentheses. And again, we're just figuring out this new percent change and then making sure we round it to 2 decimal places.
Shane, I don't understand why we do D5 plus itself. Maybe I just don't understand the function.
So another way we could do it is, I'm just going to click this for a second. So if math is a strong suit, what we're basically doing, it would look like this if we wrote it out. It's going to be D5 and then order of operations D5 times E5.
Oh, okay, that makes sense.
So what we're doing, D5 times E5, and then we're adding D5 to it. Does that make sense?
Yep.
Okay. Yep. Yeah, I know. When normally we would, since addition and multiplication are both commutative properties. It doesn't make a difference what order we do it in. But if we were creating a different percentage change, we might have to use the minuses and divisions, and then we would have to use our order of operations indicators. But with multiplication and addition, since they're commutative properties, it makes no difference what way we do it. All right, so now we've got that F5 value entered. We're going to do the same thing, fill it down through F12. And then now G5. And then this one might make sense, because here we are going to have to use our order of operations indicators. Again, so it's going to be the average change from 21 to 2022. So this is we're going to do that rounding function. So equals round, open parentheses. And so we've got the open parentheses in, another open parentheses, because we're going to create this order of operations within our larger number. So here it's going to be equals round, open parentheses, C5 plus E5. And again, you could click in C5 and then plus click in E5 to do it too. That's another way. Close the parentheses and then divided by 2, 4. And then close that parentheses. And again, so we've got the red parentheses are around that C5 plus E5, and then this black parentheses are around that greater number. Then go ahead and enter it. And then we can go ahead and fill that one down. Come on. All right. So we've got these, again, we're just, once we start entering this data, it's going to look very, very different. So right now it's kind of confusing because it's all this weird, projected changes from 3 to 24%. And so it looks a little crazy right now, but it's just because we're just creating this this formatting to apply to this worksheet a little bit further on down the road. So there's going to be a lot of work up front to get this worksheet how we want it. Then once we start entering data, it's going to be a breeze. All right, so now let's go ahead and select cell B13, because now these are going to be some total rows. In cell B13, I'm going to come up in my home tab, editing group. I'm just going to click that auto sum button. I don't have to use that little down the more option. I'm just going to click auto sum. And again, it recognizes that all of these are numbers directly above it. And the software is really good at noticing the number patterns. You can see it recognizes that all of these are numbers, and then it stops at B3 because that's not a number. However, we do not want to add 2020, the year, to our data. So we want to make sure that we only select the range B5 through B12. So that's going to, and ultimately it's going to say equals sum, open parentheses, B5 colon B12, because it's going to give us that range. Then we can go ahead and hit enter. And then now you'll see right here, this little green triangle in the corner, that's called a trace indicator or a trace error button. And what that means is that it identifies that there's an error because we didn't include a number that's within this range. So if we click on this little exclamation point, we get several different options to look at. So we could say, give me help on this error if we wanted. So say help on error, and it's going to give us a little indicator over here, and it'll tell us why. Or if we know that this formula is correct, we could go ahead and say ignore error. Or since this is highlighted for us, we could also come up to our formulas, and then right here where it's the error checking, we could trace. So we could say trace precedence, and then it's going to show us where the, where the errors might be. So here's our error checking, and it's going to say the formula in this cell refers to a range that has additional numbers. And so we can say, oh yeah, we don't want that number, so we're going to cancel out of it. But again, so typically I don't like, I'm going to remove my errors up here. I'm going to say ignore this error. But whenever you see that little exclamation point or that little green triangle in the top left corner, it means that there may be an error in that cell. So just kind of pay attention to those when you see them. All right, so we've got that. Now let's go ahead, and then I'm going to select cell D13. And then in cell D13, I'm going to click on that auto sum button again. So my home tab, editing group, auto sum. And again, remember, make sure that we're only selecting that D5 through D12, and then enter. And this time it's not giving us that error. And then in cell F13, we're going to do the same thing, calculating that range F5 through F12. So auto sum, make sure we've got the proper range selected, enter, and then that's all good. All right, so I'm going to make sure we've deselected that. Now I'm going to go ahead and we are going to save this, because so we've got this kind of template started. We've got these values in here. Now we want to save it so we don't lose any of this work that we've started. So I'm going to go ahead and do a file save as. And then I'm going to go ahead and do browse. I've created this folder already on my desktop. So I'm going to say desktop. And then this is my advanced Excel. And if you want, you can save it on anywhere on your desktop if you want. If you got a flash drive, save it to the flash drive. That's totally fine. I'm going to go ahead and call this one Consolidated Expenses. All right. So we've got this consolidated expenses worksheet saved. So now we're going to go ahead and we're going to start doing some formatting with this. So again, we've gotten our numbers ready, to accept this data. Now let's go ahead and do some formatting on this heading up here. So we're going to format the title and the subtitle, title to start with. So we're going to select the range A1 through A2. Oh, just a second. Hey, Sarah, welcome back. I don't know if you got kicked out. If you got kicked out, I apologize. And do you need me to help get you caught up or anything? And you should be able to unmute yourself if you need to, Sarah.
I know she was having some internet problems. She said she might get booted out a couple times.
Okay, I'm sorry. Not on my end though, right?
No, this was pre getting on.
Okay. All right. So, and again, if you can unmute yourself, if you need to unmute yourself, and it looks like you're unmuted right now, but I can't, oh, now you're muted. Now you're unmuted. Okay. So again, we're selecting the range A1 through A2. And then we're going to be in our home tab, our styles group over here. And yours might look a little bit different than this, but just make sure it's got styles right here. I'm going to select this more option. And here we're going to go ahead and we're going to apply the title style. All right, now I'm going to select cell A1 only. And I'm just going to bump this up one. So where it says increase font, I'm just going to bump it up once. Yes, Tracy, question.
Sorry. So I'm in, my computer's a little different. So I got cell styles. Then what am I doing?
You're going to click on this little, where it says more option or like a little down arrow.
I have that.
Yep, and choose the title style.
Thank you.
Yep. And then once you've got, so then it's going to bring it in as an 18-point font. That's fine for this one, but we're going to, on cell A1, we're going to create that one at 20. So we're going to increase it. So you can either click it once up or click the little down pointing arrow and change it to 20. Now I'm going to select the range A1 through G1. So again, click and hold in with my left mouse button, drag across to G1, and then I'm going to merge and center that text. Now I'm going to select A2 through G2. Again, I'm going to merge and center this text. And then I'm just going to click on this little decrease font size once to change this to 16 point. So again, we changed them both to title. The M&S provisions title, we bumped it up one grow font size to 20. This consolidated expenses, we bumped it down to 16. And again, you can either do that by using this increase, decrease font size buttons right here, the A's with the little up and down arrows, or you can just use the selection finder right here. But again, this is 20, this is 16. All right, so now I'm going to select the range A1 through A2. So it's going to be basically A1 through G2, this whole big, huge range. And we're going to change the fill color on this. So we're in my font group on my home tab, this little paint can. I'm going to click on that little down pointing arrow. And we're going to change the fill to blue gray accent 1. So here's our accent colors. Here's the first one is blue gray accent 1. And then I'm going to click on this font arrow. Whereas right now it's red, I'm just going to click on the font color, and I'm going to change the font color to tan accent 5 lighter 40%. So here's our accent 5 color, tan accent 5, and then lighter 40% is going to be the third one down. All right. So I'm going to click away from that. I'm just going to do a quick save again. So now once we've got it saved as that consolidated expenses, every couple steps now I'm just going to be clicking my little quick save button up here to save this progress. So now we're going to format our columns and titles. So we're going to select the range B4 through G4. So B4 through G4. And we're going to make sure yes. All right. And I'm going to center that text. So in our alignment, I'm going to click on center. And then I'm going to select cell A4. Oopsie. Sorry. It's that whole range now. Sorry. A4 through G4. And then we're going to apply the heading 3 style. And again, so that's going to be in your cell styles. I'm going to use that more option again, and then heading 3. And that's going to bold the text, and that's going to give it that little, that border on the bottom. All right, so now we're going to select the range A13 through G13. So A13 through G13. And this we're going to give it the the total style. So again, it's our cell styles, that little down pointing arrow, and then total. And then you'll see the total is going to give it bold numbers. It's going to give it a single top border and a double bottom border.
Where is total?
Total is going to
I found it. I
Yep.
found it. I'm so sorry. Thank you.
No worries at all. All right, and then I'm going to click on my save, my quick save to save that progress. All right, so now we're going to format our numbers in here. And so we're going to format them with a floating dollar sign. And again, we talked about this a little bit, our floating and static dollar signs are fixed, floating and fixed. You can say fixed or static, either way. When we use the accounting style, we're going to get a static or a fixed dollar sign. So I'm going to show you this, right? I'll do it on this 2021. And again, you don't have to do this right now, because we're not going to use this formatting. But if I come up here to my number group in my home tab, and why I apply the accounting style, the accounting style is going to give us, it's going to format this as a dollar amount, but it's going to give us a static or a fixed dollar sign on the left-hand side of the cell, and the numbers are going to be aligned to the right. If I apply a currency style, and again, that's going to be the same spot right over here, and then currency, you can see the currency is going to align the numbers to the right, but this time it also puts the dollar sign with the numbers. So we call this a floating dollar sign, because depending on how many digits this number is, the dollar sign might move out a couple places, it might move in, so it's going to be floating all around. This static one, or the fixed, is always going to be applied over here. So what we're going to do is we're going to apply it with a floating dollar sign. So I'm going to select B5, so right there, and I'm going to hold my control key down. So hold control, and then I'm going to select D5, right there, D5, F5, B13, and then D13 and F13. All right, so I've got those 6 cells selected. And again, we're applying this floating dollar sign to the first row and the total row, and that's it. The other ones are not going to have a dollar sign on them. And so here I'm going to go ahead and do a right click and then format cells. And then I'm going to apply the currency style 2 decimal places. All right. And then we're going to use this negative number in parentheses in red at the bottom. And say OK. Oh, let me double check, because maybe I didn't click my currency. Okay, maybe I didn't. Dollar sign, 2 decimals, that one. Okay. All right, there we go. All right, I don't know what I did for some reason. All right. Okay. So now we've got that number, those numbers formatted. So you can see we've got the number formatted. Now the numbers between them look a little bit different because they're not aligned all the same way. And so there's a really easy way to do this, and then there's the way that we're going to do it. So what we're going to do is we're going to basically change the code of those numbers as well. And so we're going to tell the numbers to display a certain way. And again, I'll show you what it's going to look like. If we look at one of these, I'll look at this one right here. So this cell right here, I'm going to go to my number launcher. And then, so you can see right now, we've got this, the number is going to be 2 decimals. We've got this dollar sign, and then we've got our negative numbers are displayed as red with a dollar sign and the parentheses around them. I'm going to come down to the very bottom and look at this custom. So now when I click on custom, this custom is going to allow us to format numbers in a different way. So you can see right now the first set of numbers is a positive number. So right now you can see it's got the dollar sign and then pound, comma, pound, pound, which just means that it's going to be like whatever number. We've got that comma, the thousand separator, and then 0.00 indicates that we've got 2 decimals with this number. So the dollar sign and then 2 decimals. Then there's a semicolon right here. And then in the brackets, the straight brackets, we've got the word red. And the straight brackets indicate a color formatting. And so what we're doing is we're telling it, so this first series of numbers is how we're going to format positive numbers. The semicolon indicates how we're going to format negative numbers. And so here you can see we've got red in the straight brackets, which means we're going to format negative numbers with red text, and then parentheses, dollar sign, pound, comma, pound, pound, 0.00. So it's basically that same formatting. And so, like one way that you could think about this, if you wanted to format the numbers as magenta, or you wanted to format them as violet or yellow, you could type in open bracket, yellow, close bracket, and then your negative numbers will format in yellow, or you can make them blue or violet or whatever. So that's just a different way that you can do that. All right, so there, I'm gonna click cancel out of that. So now we're gonna type in this code to format these numbers. And so what we're gonna do is we're gonna use this control non-adjacent selection again. So we're gonna select the range C5, oopsie, C5 through C12. So C5 through C12. And then hold our control key down, because then we want E5 through E12 and G5 through G12. Again, so right now we're going to format how we want to make our percentages, like the numbers that are percentages appear. All right, so we've got that selected. We're going to go to that number launcher that we were just at, and we're going to click on that custom option. All right. So now here we have now we can enter how we want this custom number to appear. So right now it says general up here. I'm just going to click in this box where it says general, get rid of that number, or get rid of that. And now I'm going to hit my backspace to get rid of general altogether. And again, if you get behind a step or something, just say, hey, Shane, stop, or, mine didn't work, whatever, and we'll fix it. Because I don't expect that everyone's is going to work right away, because we're going to be typing a lot of stuff in here. I mean, a lot of stuff. All right, so this is what we're going to do first. We're going to type how we want our positive numbers to appear. So it's going to be 0.00%. And again, I can't make this any bigger. I wish I could, but I can't. But we're going to type 0.00% and then the semicolon. So the key to the immediate right of the L, and then the open straight bracket, which is right next to the P, to the right of P. And then we're going to type magenta with a capital M. Come on, there. So magenta, and then close the bracket. And then immediately after magenta, open parentheses, 0.00%, and close the parentheses. And again, so all we're doing is we're telling the program that we want positive numbers to be 0.00%, that format, so percent with 2 decimals in the standard automatic color. And then the semicolon indicates a negative number. We want to format it in magenta text with the negative numbers in a bracket or in a parentheses. I'm going to say okay. And then now it should look something like that. So does everybody have the numbers in here? You don't have like yep.
Nope.
Okay, that's fine. So what is does yours say like format, or does it have a
Well, so
weird?
I got, excuse me, I got format.
Yep.
Okay, so now I'm going to where? Format cells?
So are they all still selected?
Yes,
Yep. So so let's just go back to that number launcher and
got
then
it.
custom.
Thank you.
Yep.
Then which one down? All the way to the 0.
Nope. You want to make sure. So click right. Where does it say right up here where it says type?
Yeah, I want to be right before the, uh, okay, my first one says general, then 0. So
So
I'm going,
if yours says general,
hmm,
click where it says general and then hit backspace to delete it.
okay,
And then type 0.00%.
okay, hang on. 0.00%,
And then the semicolon,
semicolon,
and then the open bracket, and that's the straight bracket. So it's the key right next to the P, and
hang
then
on.
and then
Oh,
magenta. Oh,
magenta.
yep. And then type magenta with a capital M, MAGENTA, and then close that straight bracket. So the key
Got
to
it.
the right of that, yep. And then open parentheses, 0.00%, close parentheses.
No. You know what I'm going to do? Can I just do red? Because I know how to, I think that's what I screwed it up as. So, let me,
Yeah, you can type red if it's,
so then I do RED. No, it didn't do it. So,
all right. So I'm just going to do this really quickly. We'll go here. Come on. I'm going to go. Oh,
sorry, guys.
no worries. All right. I'm going to do this once. I'm going to try something. Insert screenshot, screen clip. Okay. Now let me see this. So can you see this right here?
I can. Okay.
Okay, so this is what you want to type. So make sure
Oh,
it's
perfect.
0.00% semicolon.
0.00%.
And then the semicolon.
Yep.
And then magenta.
MAGENTA.
And those straight brackets.
That, then that, and then 0.00%. No, god dang it.
So that,
Or
okay,
god dang it.
so
You
if
know
that,
what? Don't even.
all right, so if that didn't work, then you know what you can do? Just come up to where it says number,
Yep.
and then choose percentage. And then choose like if there's a negative red option.
Mine says, okay, that would be, I've got sample 3%.
So if we go percentage, just use 2 decimals for now. That's fine.
Okay.
Yeah. And then I'll try to see if I can figure out what's going on with yours.
Okay. So
But you just want to make sure it's formatted as a percent right now.
okay. Got it.
All right. Okie dokie. All right. So we've got that one formatted like that. And so now I'm going to select my range. So I'm going to format with a comma style now. And so again, we applied this floating $ here earlier. Now I'm going to select the range. In 2020, 2021, and 2022, those columns, so B, D, and F, everything between the $signs. So from B6 through B12, and then hold your control key, and then D6 through D12, and F6 through F12. So we've got those ranges selected. And then I'm just going to come up here in my number group, and I'm going to click on that little comma button, the one that says comma. I'm just going to click on that comma style. And then again, it's going to apply the number the same way. The only difference is it's not going to give a dollar sign. That's the only difference. Everything else is going to be the similar. All right, so I'm going to click an empty cell to get away from that. And so now what we're going to do, so you see it right up here in the styles, the cell styles group. We've got all of these different cell styles that have been created for us. But we want to go ahead and create our own cell style. And so we can do that, which is really cool. And so what we're going to do is we're going to create our own cell style that's going to format a year for us. And so what we're going to do is we're going to click in our cell styles area, so cell styles, and then down at the very bottom, we're going to go to this new cell style. So we've got a merge style and a new cell style. We're going to click on that new cell style. All right, so now you can see we've got different things that we can format. So within that, in the style name right up here, right now it says style 1. I'm going to type 4-digit year. So 4-digit year. And then I'm going to click that format button right below it. And so now it's going to bring this format cells dialog box open for us. So this is going to be a number. So we're going to come over here and click on that number option. Or sorry, the number, make sure we have the number tab selected first. Sorry. All right. So here, now we're going to go down to this date option. So now it's going to format how we want the dates to appear. And then now you can see all these different options that are in here. We're going to click on the one that says 14-MAR-2012. Way down at the bottom. All right, so we've got that one selected. Now we're going to go to our alignment tab. So we've got this date format selected. Now, next we're going to go to align. And then here in this horizontal alignment, we're going to choose center. And then we're going to go to the font tab. And then in that, we're going to change the color of this one. So we're going to go to this color gallery right here. And we're going to change the color to green accent 6, darker 50. So green accent 6 is the last one. Darker 50 is way at the bottom. And then we've got that one. So I'm going to say okay. All right. And then I'm going to go click on the border, fill, and protection boxes because we didn't do any of those. So we want to make sure that these 3 are selected. So number, alignment, and font. And then, but border, fill, and protection are all deselected because we didn't do anything with those. Now we're going to say okay. All right. So you can see nothing's happened yet because we haven't done anything. But we're going to come up here to cell G3. And then in the cell styles group, right up at the top, it should say custom 4-digit year. Click on that. Did it work for everyone? Yay. All right. Cool. Congratulations. You created your own cell style. Awesome. All right. So we've got that cell style created. And so again, we want to specifically tell the program how we want this cell value to display. And so that's what we did with that. So again, it's you can do this for your own, like, you know, we've got all of these different options right here. And again, these are just different cell styles that the program that have been created with this program for us. If we wanted to create our own, we could totally do all of this on our own too. I mean, it's a lot of time saved because it does it for us, but we can make our own too. All right, so I'm going to go ahead, deselect that. I'm going to click on cell B2 because I'm going to run a spell check really quickly. So again, I've got a spell check option right up here. If you don't see the little ABC check mark, go to your review tab and then do your spelling that way if you want to. But we're just going to do a spell check to make sure we don't have any errors in here. All right, so I'm good to go. I'm going to do a quick save to save this progress so far. All right, so now we have got this sheet created for us. Now we've kind of primed it to go ahead and use this to create another sheet. So what we're going to do is we're going to copy and paste this. Oh, okay. Sorry, I'm like I lost everybody, but there you are. Okay, we're going to copy and paste this so we can create multiple versions of it. So what we're going to do is I'm going to come down here to the bottom in this sheet tab 1. I'm going to right click on that. And then I'm going to click the option that says move or copy. So I'm going to click move or copy. Make sure you click on the create a copy button down at the bottom. And then I'm going to say move to end and then OK. All right, so now you'll see I've got sheet 1 is right here and then sheet 2. And sheet 2, the only difference that you'll notice in sheet 2 is sheet 2 now has the little error indicator that there's an error somewhere. And that's the only difference right now. Okay. Now I'm going to zoom in a little bit. If you want to, go ahead, just a little bit more. All right, so now we're going to make another copy of it, but we can copy it using our shortcut menu as well. So if I right click on sheet 2, and then this one, yeah, you know what, I'm just gonna do it the same way. Move or copy, create a copy, and then move to end, okay. And then the other way that I can do it, I just did it. Yes. So the other way I can do it is I'm gonna hold my control key down, click on sheet 1, the third version of it. So where it says sheet 1 and then 3 in parentheses, I'm gonna hold control down, click and hold with my left mouse key or my left mouse button, and then drag over to the right and then release. And then you'll see that makes another copy. So again, there's a couple different ways that you can make copies of a sheet, but you know, you'll find the way that's easiest for you and you'll do it that way. But again, you can right click on it and copy it, or you can click with your control key and your mouse button, pull away from it, and then it'll do the same thing. So ultimately we want 4 versions of this. So sheet 1 number 2, sheet 1 number 3, sheet 1 number 4. All right. So I'm going to do a quick save of this one as well to quick save that. Now we're going to go ahead and we're going to drill and it's called drilling an entry. But what we're going to do is we're going to create these references. So once we start entering the data into these other worksheets, we're going to create the calculations on on the mothership or on that main one. So I'm going to go to sheet 1. All right. And so what we're going to do is we're going to create these values for these years. And so I'm going to right click where it says sheet 1. All right, and then I'm going to select all sheets. So at the bottom it says select all sheets. Now you'll notice before I do that, right now I'm on sheet 1. It's kind of, the tab is white with green letters and then like this green bar underneath it. Everything else is grayed out. When I do right click, select all, now all of those tab sheets turn green with that bar underneath all of them. And so what that indicates is that all of these are selected. So if you're ever doing work and you've got multiple tabs and you only want to do work on one of them, make sure you don't have a bunch of them selected at the same time, because then you could start, doing weird stuff to it. All right, so we've got all of them selected together. I'm going to go to select cell C5 where it says payroll. All right, so now we've got all this text formatted, and now we're going to go ahead and we're going to project what these changes are for these sheets. So now we've got everything selected. Now we're going to make these changes. So the first one, our projected change for payroll is going to be an increase of 2.5%. So I'm going to type 2.5 and then hit my down arrow key. All right, so now when I did that, since I have all of these selected together, that percentage change is going to apply to every one of those sheets independently. So it's kind of cool. So when we select off of this, you'll see what it does. All right, so I've got that. Now in benefits for C6, it's gonna be a 2% change. So I'm gonna do 2 and then down arrow. Fuel, and again, I'm just gonna type the number and then hit my down arrow key to go down to the next one. So fuel for 2021, that's gonna be a 2% change. Storage is 1. Event fees is 1. Maintenance is 1. Advertising is -1. So we're gonna type in the minus sign, -1, and then the down arrow. And then, so for everybody but Tracy, you should have this like magenta number with the parentheses around it. Tracy's might just say -1 on it right now, but we'll try to fix that at some point. And then the administrative is going to be -2 or -2%, and then navigate away. So now in the 2022 projected change, so in cell E5, that's going to be 2.5 again, so 2.5. And then now our benefits is going to be 3%, so 3, and then another 3, 1, 1, 2, and then -1, and then -2.25. All right, so then you'll see how it affected this. It also changed our average change, again, because we added these two together. Remember, we added them together, divided by 2. And wasn't it 4 decimal places that it rounded to if we needed it? So right now we only need 2 decimal places at the most, but if we needed 4, it could go out to 4.
Hey, Shane,
Yes, ma'am.
on the advertising in column C,
Yep.
what am I'm supposed to,
Yours might just say -1%.
so do I hit negative, so I hit
You're gonna hit the minus key
minus
and then 1%.
1%?
Or no, you'll just have to do -1 and then down arrow, because you already applied a percent style to it.
Okay, so -1.
So just do -1 and then hit your down arrow key, and it should go down to the next line.
Then it's -2?
And then it's -2, yep.
Okay, then on the, okay, so I got the 250 on the E, and then what were the,
And then it was going down below that for starting with benefits. It's 3, 3, 1, 1, 2, -1.
3,
Yep,
1,
3, 1, 1, 2,
1,
-1,
1,
and then -2.25.
-2. 2, 5. Thank you, sorry. And
No, no
then,
worries at all.
okay, got
And
it.
then, yep. Okay. So now we're gonna go ahead and we are going to, on sheet 1, we're gonna right click on the sheet 1 tab, and now we're gonna ungroup. And so when we ungroup them, if we look at these other sheets, you can see those numbers are applied to those ones as well. Okay, so now I'm going to double click. So now I'm going to name these sheet tabs. So I'm going to double click on where it says sheet 1, number 2. So double click with my left mouse key. And when I do that, it's going to change this. It's going to shade out that sheet 1, 2. I'm going to type Lady Lobster and then enter. All right. So Lady Lobster, and then I'm going to right click and then tab color, because I'm also going to change the tab color of this. So I'm going to, where it says tab color, I'm going to change it to tan accent 4. So here's our tan accent 4, click on it. All right. Now I'm going to double click on column A2. So A2, sorry, double click. And then select where it says consolidated expenses sheet. I'm just going to, where it says consolidated, I'm going to change consolidated, and I'm going to type Lady Lobster. He's her lobster. So now it's going to say Lady Lobster expense worksheet instead of M&S provisions. All right, and then I'm going to select A1 and A2, and I'm going to change the fill color of this to tan accent 4. So again, in our home tab, fill color, tan accent 4. And again, what we're doing is we're changing each one of these companies. So Lady Lobster, Henry Haddock or Harry Haddock, and then Shrimp, Shelly Shrimp or Sally Shrimp or whatever it was. Each one is going to have its own color. And so we're going to give that tab its color. And then up here, it's going to have that different theme color. All right. And so we've got that still selected, and we're going to change the font to automatic. So where it says font, the A, we're going to change that back to automatic. So it's going to be black. So now we've got this. So again, if I click in cell, sorry, D5, you can see D5 is it's gonna give us a round figure. So we've got all of these other ones, we have formulas created in them already. So now we're gonna enter the data for the Lady Lobster group in cell B5. I'm gonna enter my payroll value. So so B5 is going to be 79207.2. So 79207.2, and then hit my down arrow. And then again, you'll see it automatically formatted it with that floating $sign. And then since we created these formula already, it's automatically changed those values as well. So then the benefits. 15,247.39, so 15,247.39. Fuel is 20,000 even, so 20,000. Storage is 14,400, so 14,400. Event fees is 6,200, 6,200. Maintenance is 4,295.20, 4,295.2. Advertising, 3,599.64, 3,599.64. And then B12 administrative is 2,500. All right, so I'm going to click on an empty cell. I've got that 145. I'm just going to ignore, I'm going to ignore this error because I don't like having little squiggly lines or those green triangles in this. All right, I'm going to do a quick save to save that. So now I've got my Lady Lobster sheet done. Now I'm going to, where it says sheet 1, number 3, I'm going to double click on that. It's going to give it that grayed out look. This one I'm going to type Henry Haddock. So Henry Haddock, and then enter. Right click on the sheet tab and then tab color. Henry Haddock's color is teal accent 2. So teal accent 2. And then again, I'm going to come up to my cell A2, and I'm just going to double right over here in my formula bar. I'm going to double click on the word consolidated. It's only going to select the word consolidated. I'm going to type Henry Haddock. And then enter. And then select cell A1 and A2. And again, give it that same fill color, that teal accent 2. And then I'm going to change the font color to automatic. So I'm just going to click that little A because it's the automatic was the last color we applied. All right, now we're going to go ahead and enter the data for Henry Haddock. So for payroll for him, or for this company, it's 72870. So 72870.62. Benefits 14027.6. And then our fuel charges 19,000 even. Storage is 13,248. Event fees 7,500. Maintenance 3951.8. Advertising 3311.67. So 3311.67. And then finally administrative 2,500. Just like the last one. And again, that I'm going to ignore this error because I don't like those little things. All right, so again, I'm just going to do the quick save to save that progress. And now I'm going to go to this sheet 4. So this is going to be for Sharon Shrimp. So double click where it says sheet 1-4 and then Sharon Shrimp. And then enter. And then again, we're going to give her a sheet color. So right click and then tab color. And this tab color is going to be the orange and the standard colors. So it's not going to be a theme color. It's going to be right down here in the standard orange. So click on orange. And then again, I'm going to come up to cell A2, double click on the word consolidated, Sharon Shrimp, enter, and then change A1 and A2. The fill color of this is going to be orange in the standard colors. And then we're just going to click on the little A with the black line underneath it to change it to the automatic text formatting. All right. And now we're going to enter the data for Sharon Shrimp. So again, in cell B5 for the payroll, 68712.06. So 68712.06. Benefits 17077.07. 17077.07. Fuel is 18,500. 18500. Storage 12528. Event fees 5,000 even. Maintenance 4810.62. 4810.62. Advertising fees 4031.6. 4031.6. And administrative, you guessed it, 2500. And again, I'm going to ignore this error. All right. And again, I'm going to save that progress. Okay. So now we've got all of this data entered for our individual branches. So the Sharon Shrimp has her own data. Henry Haddock has his own data. Lady Lobster has her own data. I'm going to come back to sheet number 1. And then I'm going to double click on this one. And then I'm going to type consolidated. And then enter. And then this one, I'm going to right click on consolidated and then tab color. And this one was the blue-green, blue-gray accent 1 color. All right. Everybody with me so far? Cool. I'm going to assume you're all with me. Okay. So now, and again, at this point, if you get confused by something I say, or if you get a step behind or something, by all means say, okay, Shane, stop, right here. No questions asked. Because right now what we're going to do is we're going to create, it's called a 3D reference. And so what we're going to do is, since we've got, and so again, I'm going to click on each one of these. You can see everything is exactly the same. It's laid out the exact same way. So what we're going to do is we're going to start to total these worksheets all at the same time. And so to do that, it's called a 3D reference, because we're referring to things that are kind of outside of the standard columns and rows right here. Because beyond these columns and rows, we're going to outside worksheets. All right. So again, when we want to total all the payroll across our entire enterprise, we're going to add cell B5 from every one of these different branches. All right. So again, I'm going to make sure I'm in the consolidated sheet in cell
Hey, Shane,
Yep.
sorry.
No,
I
it's okay.
know on my Lady Lobster, I have a different total, so I might have done a number different. Is that okay?
Yeah,
You
it's
know what I'm
okay.
saying? Okay.
Yeah. Mhm.
Thank you.
Yep. All right, so we're going to in this consolidated sheet in cell B5, where we have our payroll. What I'm going to do is I'm going to click in there, up in my editing group. I'm going to click on that, not the auto sum button, but the little down arrow next to it. So this more option. And then I'm going to click on the word sum. All right, so it's got the sum feature done. All right, so now it's telling me that we're going to create this sum formula. I'm going to click on the Lady Lobster sheet tab. And then I'm going to click in cell B5. All right, so far it should say sum, and then in parentheses, Lady Lobster, exclamation point B5. So far, so good. All right, then I'm going to hold my shift key down and then click on Sharon Shrimp's sheet tab. All right, so what it should look like is up here, it should say equals sum, and then open parentheses, that Lady Lobster : Sharon Shrimp, and then the exclamation point B5 up there. So again, so we're telling it we want to calculate the sum of all of these sheets, the cell B5 of all of those different sheets. I'm going to go ahead and say enter, and then bam, you should get that, what, 220,789.88 or something thereabouts. And maybe your number was a little bit different, but you've created that calculation. All right. So we got that one. cool. All right, so so now we're on this consolidated sheet. So again, what we're doing is now that we've got this one reference in here, we can go ahead and we can just we can just copy this reference down because it's going to copy it based on our relative cell references. So we're going to just go down, do the same thing. So with cell B5 still selected, I'm just going to click on that little fill handle down there in the bottom right-hand corner. Click and hold, drag it through the range B6 through B12, release, and boom. All right, everybody got it? Cool. All right, so let's go ahead and save that. All right, so that, and again, so that was a really simple way of creating a 3D reference. And again, most of the work that we did today was building this worksheet. And kind of the benefit of doing that is, to take so much time on the front end is that we have this worksheet that is consistent. So we don't have to do any of this formatting. Once we've got all this data in, now we can just do, create a couple calculations, enter a few pieces of data, and then everything's done for us. And again, like we spent an hour plus just creating this worksheet. And then once we've got that done, we spent the last 10 minutes or 15 minutes entering a couple numbers. And now we've got all this really good data right here. Awesome. Okay. So now we're going to go ahead and we're going to add that pie chart that we had in earlier. So I'm going to select the range. So I'm on my consolidated sheet. I'm going to select the range A5 through B12. Again, so here's A5 through B12. So again, this is our expenses for 2020. Right, and then on my Insert tab, I'm going to come over here to my Charts group, and I'm going to choose a 3D pie chart. All right, so there's my pie chart. I'm going to double click on this chart title to select it. I'm going to change this to 20.
Sorry, Shane.
Yep.
I can't, because mine is a little different. Where would my pie chart, I see my charts, but then where is the pie chart? Is it?
It should be, do you have, sorry, let me.
Oh, I got it. It
okay.
Looks just like a pie.
Yep, no worries. So once we've got that pie chart in there, I'm going to select this where it says chart title, and I'm going to change this to 2020 consolidated expenses. And again, I'm just giving a title to this chart. All right, so I'm going to deselect that chart title. And now I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to apply a different style to it. So we've got our styles right here. We've also got some layouts over here. So I'm going to choose a quick style, and I'm going to choose style number 9. And if you want to choose a different one, go ahead and choose a different one. So we've got all these different, if you hover over them, again, hover over them and you'll get what's called a live preview. And it's just going to show you what it's going to look like if you select that option. And so there's chart style number 9. Now, if I was doing this on my own, style 8 is my go-to style. I just kind of like it. And I've used this before. It kind of reminds me of like a fondant cake. It's just kind of almost looks edible, like a spree or something. And it kind of looks cool. But anyway, I'm going to choose style 9 for the purpose of this lesson, but style 9. And then again, you can see right here, it kind of mashes all these numbers close together. We can make it a little bit bigger if we want to, or we can format how these numbers will display in just a moment. All right, so we've got that. Now I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to take this from this sheet and I'm going to put it on its own sheet. So with that selected, I'm going to go ahead and in my chart design tab at the very end on the right, it says move chart. I'm just going to click on move chart. And I'm going to say new sheet. All right. And then I'm going to call this expense chart, or 2020 expense chart, sorry. And then enter. And then now when I do that, it brings it into its own sheet. So I've got my consolidated Lady Lobster, Henry Haddock, Sharon Shrimp, and then my own expense chart over here. And then if I want to do any further formatting, I can go ahead and add some formatting into it. So if I wanted to, I could choose, you know, if I wanted data labels, if I wanted to change my legend. So if, in this case, if we add data labels to these, we don't have to have a legend. And so I'm going to say, get rid of my legend. And then I'm going to choose this data labels option. And then more options right here. And so now you can see I've got this fill, format, but then I've also got some text options. But then I'm going to click on the label options at the very end. So this little kind of looks like a little graph or a chart, a column chart. I'm going to say I want to show my percentages and I want to show my category name. And then down at label position, I want to do best fit. And then I'm wondering if I can change the text color from here. Yeah. And then with those still selected, I'm going to also come over here to my home tab and then change the text to automatic. That automatic black. All right, so I'm going to close that right there, that format data labels. And so right here, you can see these are kind of mashed on top of each other. I'm just going to click away or click on one of them only, like maintenance. Get this little four-way pointing arrow over the edge of it. Come on, right there. And then drag it out a little bit. And then do the same thing with administrative. Drag it out a little bit. We've got our little leader lines on here. So the leader lines are going to kind of tell us what one goes where. But I don't want those kind of jammed on top of one another.
Can you redo that again? I can't get mine, so thank you.
Yeah, so if you, let's see. Yep, so if you click on one, like click on where it says maintenance, it's going to give you the fill handles around it, the little sizing handles. Just click on it where you get on the border, where you get that four-way pointing arrow, and then drag it out. Click and hold and then drag it out and then release it.
Hey, Shane,
Yep.
can you jump back to actually selecting the graph chart on the side there? I have the lines coming out from those pie pieces, but it's not giving me the administrative, advertising, and maintenance, so I must not have clicked something.
Is all the text in white in here?
I have 3 of them in white: fuel, benefits, and payroll, nothing else, but they are in white.
Okay, so is there little boxes around them?
No.
So if
Nope,
you click on where it says benefits, does it give you boxes around them?
Yes, now the boxes are outside there, but I just don't have the labeling.
Okay, so come to your home tab, and then in the font group, right over here, choose automatic.
There they are. Sorry, I got distracted during that
No
moment.
worries. No worries at all. All right, so we've got that. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to come in here. I'm going to click on this in the middle of the pie chart. Did you have another question, Tracy? Or just Oh, no, no worries. All right, so I'm going to click on this pie chart. And when I do that, it's going to give me the little sizing handles, those little blue dots at each piece. I'm going to click one more time right on the fuel piece, the piece for fuel. It's kind of this taupey color. Click on it one more. And now when I do that, I should only have these little blue fill handles on that fuel piece only. So now when I do that, I'm going to click and hold with my left mouse button, and I'm just going to click and hold and then pull it out a little bit and then release. And then you can see it takes that one piece and it's called exploding, but it explodes that one piece. So if we say, hey, we want to focus on a specific thing. So maybe you say, oh, I want to focus on my fuel expenses. Or I can say focus on benefits. I can click here, pull it out, and then say, then I've got my benefits piece out. And again, you can do whatever you want, but I'm just showing you again, this is called an explosion. But then I can say, hey, if I want to focus on benefits, I can make insert, and then I can do a little text box. And then I'm going to bring in my little, if I do that, I get this kind of looks like this upside down cross or upside down lowercase t. I'm just going to click and hold right here. And then say, benefits account for 11% of total benefits account for 11% of total expenses or something. And then I can, and again, I've got that selected. I can do a shape format if I want to give it a little bit of, give it a little style to it. There's that. And again, it's, just playing around with it. Nope, I don't want that color. Change it back to the standard color. But then I've got a little note here on the side that says, my benefits are 11% of my total organization expenses. All right. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to save that. Okay. And then now, if we need to print this, we can choose to print, but each one has its own different sheet tab. So we've got consolidated, Lady Lobster, Henry Haddock. So all of these different things, we can go ahead and we can also format how we want these to display when we print them. So when we print them, we might want to include our sheet tab, our sheet name on them. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to my consolidated. I'm going to right click on it and then say select all sheets. Again, because I'm going to format all these sheets at the same time. And then right down here in my status bar at the bottom, I'm going to click on the option that says page layout. Or you can also go to your view tab and click page layout up here as well. But we're going to go to our page layout. When we do that, it's going to show us how it's going to print. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to say change this. So my page layout, I'm going to change it to orientation landscape. So I've got the landscape orientation. And then in the header, I'm going to come up to this header right up at the top. And I'm going to, right up here, I'm going to type my name. So in this top left header, I'm going to type my name. And then in the center header, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to say expense sheet or expense worksheet. And then in the right header, I'm going to go ahead and right up here. So in my header and footer group, I'm going to say sheet name. And then I'm going to scroll down a little bit. Yep. And then down here in the bottom right, in my header footer, I'm going to say date. All right. So now you can see that. So it's got, so each sheet is going to, when each sheet prints, it will print out my name or your name, then the expense worksheet title. And then over here, it's going to tell it what sheet it is. So when we're in consolidated, it'll be consolidated. If we're in the Lady Lobster sheet, or if it prints Lady Lobster, it'll say Lady Lobster. And then down here, it'll have the date.
Shane, how do I get to the footer? I got my header exactly like you have.
So then like scroll down. So either use your scroll bar on the side over here, or use.
Yeah, I got that, but I can't get, I don't have it. I'm all the way to the bottom of my sheet.
Yep, and then just click down here.
No, I just have lines. Okay, that doesn't matter. I'll figure
So
it out.
do you see right here, do you see header and footer?
In insert, you're in insert, right?
Well, I went to my insert tab first. Well, what I did is I went to my page layout. So page layout. Actually,
Yeah, I can't.
no, go to, you want to first go to your view tab and then click on page layout over here.
Yeah, got that.
Okay. And then from here, did you type your name up here?
I did.
Okay.
And then the middle, I was going along just like you did.
Yep.
And then I put plus tab and consolidated came up.
Yep.
And then
if you click away from that and then scroll down, it should.
I don't have the 3 bars down there like you do. You know, if I go down here, so whatever, we're not going to worry about it.
Okay.
Yeah, I'll figure it out. Thanks.
All right. Yep. Sorry.
That's okay.
All right. Okay. And so then now we've got each one of these separately. So I'm going to go back to look at view mine normal. And then I'm going to come, if I want to do a print, I'm going to go print a file and then print. I'm not actually going to print these, but so right now I've got the one. I'm going to say print entire workbook. And then when I do that, you can see all there's all my different sheets that will print when I print my entire workbook. All right, so then I'm just going to come down here, you can just click on one of those tabs. I'm going to click on consolidated to go back to consolidated, and then I'm going to save my progress. And that project is done.
Once again, amazing, Shane. Thank you so much.
Sure. Isn't it fun?
That's amazing. I'm gonna go play. So are we done for the day?
Yes.
Okay, I'm going to leave, and thank you so much, and I'll see you tomorrow.
Yes, thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. All right. Anybody have any questions or?
I do. I'm sorry.
No worries.
Can you just show me on that print where you saw or where you showed that it said entire book?
Oh, yeah. So I mean, if you have all of them, one way you could do it is you could select all of them together to print, or if you only have one selected, you do a file, print, and then instead of active sheet,
Mm-hmm.
click on that little drop down and choose print entire workbook.
Oh, there it is. Got it. Sorry.
No worries. Any questions, Stephanie?
I think that was it. Thank you. I
Okay,
appreciate
no,
it.
no worries.
Yeah, that was fun. That was interesting. A lot of
All
good
right.
stuff.
Thank you. Dawn or Sarah, either of you have any questions?
Well, I think I'm good on today. You know, Shane, I still don't have the email or the link to get back. I wanted to listen to that first recording that I wasn't able to. How do I
Oh,
get back to that classroom or that wherever that's stored?
that one, that I don't know if I, let me check, because I don't know if I sent out that link. And again, my boss and my wife are making me take every Friday off, and then I had to take yesterday off again. And so then I know this Friday I have to take off again, and then there's another Monday coming up, but I think it's after we're done.
You act like your boss and your wife are two separate people, Shane.
Yeah, true. One of them
Anyway,
calls her my work wife, and my work wife and my wife are in cahoots with each other all the time, because I don't take time off ever.
I hear it. Well, if you get a chance, I mean, it's nothing urgent. I can certainly catch up at any time. I don't want to blow by it. I'd like to go
Right.
back and listen to it.
Yes, no worries. Yes, thank you.
Okay, thank you.
All right. Yep, thanks.
Talk to you later.
Shane?
All righty. Sarah,
Hey,
you're
Shane.
okay?
Thank you. Yep, I'm good. Thank you so much for this. I really
Oh, yes,
appreciate
you're
it.
very
It
welcome.
was great information.
Sarah, you might want to stay on for this question too. Shane, I know you recorded, but how do I go back and actually listen to like today?
So I'm going to go ahead and stop this recording.